Now, in real life, Papa Shango was said in interviews, he's going through a pretty rough divorce at the time. And The Undertaker was actually the guy who suggested, I mean, why don't you go home for a while? Yeah, this isn't something we talk about a lot here on the show, Bruce, but back then especially. Now, of course, things change, but the schedule could be rather brutal. How important was it for guys in that era to be able to raise their hand and say, as unpopular and unfavorable as it may be, man, I need to take a few days here or there.
Well, it's life.
Yeah.
And that happened all the time. Rick Steamboat did it in 1987. He wanted to go home and be with his wife and kid, and that was his choice.
Yeah.
That was what he needed to do for his health
family
and his
and circumstance. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Shango doing that was the best thing for him to do at this time.
He works a few indie shows in late 93 and throughout 94. He still uses the Papa Shango gimmick, and he even goes back to work with Otto over in Europe. And then at the end of 94, we start to see something kind of cool. There's vignettes for Kama, the Supreme Fighting Machine on WWF programming. And it's almost like he's presented as a shoot fighter or boxer all rolled into one. It's important to remember this is in the era of the UFC first becoming a thing. What'd you think of the gimmick? Whose idea was this? Kama, the fighting machine.
It was kind of a hybrid, and it was probably, it was another side of Charles Wright, who really enjoyed MMA. He enjoyed boxing.
Yes.
He did box. He enjoyed MMA. He enjoyed that mixed martial arts world. And it was a different presentation of the same guy. And a more real thing, not doing all the supernatural Papa Shango stuff. Just grew his hair in some and had a mohawk, rode motorcycles, and, just look, he looked like a badass.
Yeah.
He is a badass.
Yes.
So try with this different presentation where UFC was just starting and people were getting exposed to the MMA fighters in the MMA world. Bring them into our world. Different presentation. Go away and learn a new hold.
He's immediately paired with Ted DiBiase in the $1 Million Corporation. At WrestleMania 11, he's going to steal the Undertaker's urn from Paul Bearer. And he's saying he's going to melt it down into a bling necklace, which of course he did. This is, I don't know, not nearly as exciting to me as Papa Shango. I just didn't feel like him and DiBiase were a fit. Should he have been on his own, or did you like the pairing with DiBiase?
I like the pairing with DiBiase because I don't think that promos was one of Charles's strong suits,
right?
Especially at that time. So to be able to give him instant credibility, put him with somebody that has credibility in Ted, let him do the talking, and also somebody that could help lay out everything for him and help him embellish and create that new character. Well,
speaking of new characters, I do want to ask about The Undertaker, because I know he's pals with him, but when he comes in as Kama Mustafa and he's essentially a new character, one would wonder, why is The Undertaker working with him? Now, I understand he was like your default guy. Whether it was King Kong Bundy or Giant Gonzalez or whatever. Hey, if we need a program item that people will care about, just add Taker. But is this one that you guys suggested, or does Undertaker say, hey man, let me work with Charles?
So let me get this straight. You just put Charles Wright in the same category as Giant Gonzalez and King Kong Bundy in 1994.
I'm pointing out that you booked them all against The Undertaker, and he doesn't necessarily.
Well, about John Cena against The Undertaker too, and
well, I didn't think we were allowed to talk about current stuff.
Kane,
okay,
stuff like that. John Cena was in like 2003 or 4.
No, it wasn't.
That was.
Well, not at WrestleMania.
John Cena peed on his bike.
Was it shoot pee?
In a cemetery.
Was it working pee or shoot pee?
I think at least one take was shoot pee.
Wow, how about that?
Yeah. How about that? I know,
Seriously,
right?
chat me up here. Did Undertaker pitch working with him, or is this something?
I think it was a combination, and it was an opportunity for Taker to have somebody new. His
Right.
combo was new coming in, and it's a new opponent for him, and seemed to fit. It was two big bastards going at it, and it helped that they were friends.
He's got a major role in '95, at least in the King of the Ring tournament. He surprisingly goes to a time limit draw with Shawn Michaels, and then he cost the Undertaker his match versus Mabel. Was Vince higher on the Kama character than he was Papa Shango, as best you can tell? I know you weren't there for Papa. I'm just trying to understand.
I think Vince was high on Charles Wright, just in general, and really liked Charles and wanted Charles to succeed.
Well, he does. Undertaker works with him at SummerSlam 95 in a casket match. And not long afterwards, he's taken off TV. He's only working the house shows. And he has one final appearance at the 1996 Royal Rumble match. And then he sort of quietly disappears from the company again. Were there big plans for Kama and it just didn't catch on? Or why is he coming off TV before he decides to ease on out of here?
You know, I really don't remember. I want to say it was injuries, just kind of nagging injuries that he needed to take care of, but I really don't remember.
Well, we should talk about 95. This is the formation of the now infamous, if you will, Bone Street Crew, or BSK. Backstage, this is a group of guys who get along really well. They hang out a lot, and they play with Bones, aka Dominoes. And I guess that's how the Bone part of Bone Street Crew came together. There's members over different periods of time here, but loosely it's The Undertaker, Godfather, Rikishi, Yokozuna, The Godwins, Paul Bearer, Mr. Fuji, Savio Vega, Crush. What's this contingent like? We've heard a lot about guys like The Click. We haven't spent a lot of time here on the show or just in the online conversation at large about BSK. Is this like a motorcycle club? What would you relate this to?
Now, I know that you look at me and you instantly think Bruce has got to be in an MC.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you're probably like Hell's Angels or Banditos or Mongols or something like that.
Something. Look at you.
Because I got that look, right?
Just a straight badass.
Yeah. Motorcycle club, for fuck's sake. It was a group of guys that liked hanging out with one another, that they traveled together, they hung out together, and played a lot of dominoes. Went out and drank, every night they're on the road, and were just best of friends.
Right.
That's what it was. I have never been a part of a motorcycle club. I've been in a Hell's Angels club one time in my life. And, it's kind of like a little more wide open VFW hall.